Hi, today I'm going to show you how to take a print resource and turn it into a digital resource that can be used in your Google Classroom or other online classroom. Specifically, we're going to take a document that's a PDF and turn it into a Google slide that can be manipulated and text can be entered into by a student. Alright, to begin with, I'm going to open a PDF that I want to make accessible to my students in their Google Classroom. I want them to be able to manipulate what needs to be manipulated and be able to enter text into the document itself. So they could submit the document even if they don't have a printer to be able to print the document. So I have this PDF open and I need to make this editable in my Google Classroom. So there's a few things to consider. First of all, the easiest way to do this would be to use my Snip Tool. And I'm going to zoom out so that I can take a screenshot of the whole thing. Well, I can't fit the whole thing in, and if I zoom out so far that I can fit the whole page in, I don't know if it's going to be readable. But let's try it and see what happens. So I'm using a Windows desktop, so I'm going to press the Shift and Windows key and the S key all at the same time. And that allows me to snip this part of the screen that's displayed, and it copied that for me. Next, I'm going to open a new tab in Google. I'm going to open Slides and start a new blank presentation. And I need to change my page settings. So I'm going to click File, Page Setup, and I want this to be custom size. I want it to be the size of a page, which is 8.5 by 11. I'm going to click Apply. So now my slide is the same size, the same dimensions as my PDF. Now remember, I copied my PDF. What I need to do with that PDF is I need to open Paint, and I am going to paste my image into Paint. I'm going to press Control V, which will paste it. I'm going to click this button right here, which is Crop, so that cuts out everything except what I just pasted. Now I need to save this file, and you can really save it as almost any image file type, but I like to use the PNG. It seems to work the best. And give it a name. Make sure that when you give it a name, that the file is named something that you can identify it with. And it's especially important if you're going to be doing several of these, to have a file system on your computer so that you can save and organize your files so that you can find them when you need them. So in my case, I created a folder with all of my slide backgrounds, and then I organized it by the subject or the curriculum that I'm using, and then the unit, so I can find my files. Alright, so now that I have my image saved, this is the document that I want the kids to be able to enter data into. I'm going to go back to my slide that I started, and I don't want these text boxes here. I'm going to make my own, so I'm going to delete those. I just clicked on them and clicked the delete key on my keyboard, or you can do the backspace button also. And now I'm going to change the background because I want my image that I created of the page to be the background If you make it the background, then you don't have the issue of kids clicking on an image and moving it around and it's not in the right place. When it's the background, it can't be moved. So I'm going to click background. I'm going to choose an image, and I saved my image right here. So all I have to do is click on the file and drag it over and drop it right there. And then click done. And I can always change that again later if I want to. And then what I like to do is, once I have the background loaded, I like to zoom in and make sure that everything is readable. Because sometimes when you use the Windows Snip Tool and you're zoomed out a long ways, when you paste the image in here, or you make it the background, it can be kind of fuzzy and hard to read. So I'm just going to zoom in, and over here on the view option, I'm going to zoom in. It looks like it's pretty clear. It doesn't get fuzzy until I get zoomed in a long ways, but I can still make it out. And if you ever want to use the shortcut, the hotkey for zooming in and out, it's the Control button, Alt button, and the minus key will zoom out, and the plus key will zoom in. So that's a quick way to do that. Alright, the next thing I want to consider is, where are the areas on this page that I want kids to be able to enter text? And are there any areas on this page that I want them to manipulate or move things around? Well, this document is pretty straightforward. There's nothing that needs to be manipulated. It's just a data entry document. So in this case, I have a few places that I want some text to be able to be entered. So I'm going to draw a text box beginning at the top with the name. And one of the settings that I like to change is I like to have the background color, or the fill color of the text box, just a light gray so it stands out. And if you right click on the edge of the text box, you'll get your format options. I'm going to change a few things in the formatting. I like my text to line up as much as possible with the line that's already on the page. So text fitting option gives some padding. Padding is the amount of space on the edges around the text box before the text starts. It defaults to 1/10, and you can actually have it all the way down to 0. And in most cases, 0 works pretty well. There are a few instances that you wouldn't want to use 0. And then the other thing that I like to change is I like to have my text red where the kids have entered their data so that it stands out. So if they were going to enter their name, it's easy to see. And then I can also change the alignment of the text within the box. So this right here not only aligns left, right, center, justified, it also will do a vertical alignment. You can align it to the top, the middle, or the bottom of the box. And in most cases, I like to do mine in the middle. The one difference where I wouldn't want it to be in the middle would be if it's an essay, like a big box where they would be typing multiple lines. In that case, I usually want it to be aligned to the top. But for this case, that will line up perfect. The size of the text isn't too bad, so I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And now you can see there's a text box there, and the student just has to double click in the box and they can type their name. Just like that. Alright, so I'm going to take that out so it's ready for students to type their name in. And then I've got a few other boxes here where I need students to be able to type. So it's, again, I'm going to draw a text box. And I'm going to make the background color the light gray again. I'm going to make the text color red. I'm going to do my vertical alignment centered. And this time I feel like 14 might be a little bit too big. So let's just say for whatever reason they have to do a 3-digit number. Oh, that seems like it should work just fine. I do still want to change my padding. I just like to have it 0. So I'm going to change the top, bottom, left, and right padding to 0. And since I am kind of picky, I like to have my text boxes lined up as much as possible. There we go. And now, for efficiency, if you're going to be doing a lot of these documents, or if you're going to be doing a document that has a lot of boxes in it, it's best to set up the one that you want, and you can copy it and you can paste that box multiple times. So in this case, these two are going to be the same. So I'm going to click away, and I'm just going to click on the box. It's important that you click on the box and not double click. You don't want your cursor blinking in it, because then you're only copying the text. Click on the box, and then I use my keyboard hotkey Control C to copy, and then Control V like Victor to paste. And then I can move this around. Now what's really nice about slides is that it has these snap to places that shows you the lines that it's lining up. That red line right there means that it's lined up to the center of that box. So it helps me line that up perfectly. And then I am zooming out, and I'm going to move over just a little bit, and it looks like I need to add your jump areas together. I need a box there. Divide your answer by 2, I need a box there, and then round to the nearest whole number here. So I'm going to use the same text box that I used here, because in general the settings are going to be the same, and it saves me from having to individually go through and change the settings. The one couple of things that I am going to change, I'm going to zoom in on this so I can see better. I need to change the size, which is easy to do. And I'm just going to make it fill in as much of that box as I can. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to notice that I have it left justified, left aligned, and center aligned vertically. That should be okay for vertical, but I want this to be centered also. So that way when they type in their number, it's in the center of that box. So whatever number they type in, it shows up in the center of that box. I just think that is easier for them to see. Now I'm going to copy that box and paste it, and I'm going to line it up with that, and there you have it. We've got 2 boxes with the same settings, and the kids can enter their data. And I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to copy this box and with Control C, and then paste it with Control V, and I'm going to put that over here. It should be about the same size. Just like that. Now if I wanted to have the background color gone so that it keeps the same color as my original document, that's an easy fix also. I can click on the text box that I just pasted, go up here to my fill color, and change it to transparent. Then you can't see that there's a text box there, but if you double click on it, you can type into it still. So that's a preference. If you'd rather just have it transparent, you can. Again, I like to have mine light gray just so that the kids can easily see that that's a text box. Alright, so now I'm going to zoom back out and look at my document. So I've got my text boxes here. I need a text box here. I need a text box here, here, and here. So I'm going to save myself some time and click on this and copy it with Control C, paste it with Control V, and I'm going to move this down here, and I'm going to zoom in so I can get it lined up the way I want it. And again, I want this to be centered. Alright. And then I can paste this one with Control C. Copy it with Control C and paste it with Control V. And put it in the next box down. And again. And again. All the way down. So now I have that whole column all filled in with identical text boxes. And I'm going to go up here and copy this one again and then paste with Control V. And I need to move this down to this box right here. And just make it fit inside. Okay. That should work. And then I'm going to copy that and paste it again for this box. And I can line it up and then just make it the right size. Alright, now I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to show you a trick that will work sometimes in some situations. And that is I can select multiple objects. I could select all three of these and paste them in. I am, in this case, going to select these two. I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut, Control C to copy, and Control V to paste, and then I'm going to move this down and line it up with the other one, and I'm going to do it again. And I'm just going to repeat this over and over until I get the whole column done. And then I can always go back and adjust individual ones if they don't quite line up. But it saves me a lot of time because I don't have to go through and do each individual text box this way. Alright, so this bottom one was just a little bit off, so I'm going to move it around so it fits inside the boxes. There we go. And then I just have one more section down here on the bottom. Now again, I could go up here because in general the settings are the same. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to copy that text box and I could paste it, or if I wanted to I could draw a brand new one, but since the general settings are the same, I'm just going to copy that text box here and I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to make it take up this whole area on the bottom of the page. I'm going to cover the lines completely. And I can position however I want. If I wanted to be really picky about it, I could do a new image and take out the lines, or I could do the box up here and still show some of the lines. It's completely up to you. But one thing to remember is the box that we copied was aligned to the left and vertically aligned center. Now in this case I don't want the vertical alignment to be center, I want it to be top, and I want there to be more room for the students to type more than just 2 lines. See, if I test my text, they're going to only be able to fit 2, maybe 3 lines in there. So I'm going to make the text a little bit smaller. I'm going to go down to 12, and then that should allow it to fit in there a little bit better. Alright, and then I'm going to zoom out, make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, I did miss. I missed a whole column right here. So that's very simple. I can just go through and I can copy this with Control-C, Control-V to paste it in there, and do that all the way down. I am all set. Then the last thing that I need to do, because I haven't done it already, is I need to give this file a name. So I know that this is Mystery 7, and this is the gravity jump data. And then I can, that's saved already in my Google Drive, and I can organize this by putting it in a folder, and I try to keep my folders organized so I can find the files later. And I know this is my Spaceship Earth, Mystery 7, and I'm going to save it right there. Now it's saved, and when I'm ready to assign that to students in Google Classroom, I can assign it, choose the option to make a copy for each student, and then when they're doing the assignment, they'll have their own copy that they can type their answers into, and it saves it, and then when they submit the assignment at the end, it will be turned in to me. Alright, so I already started a second one. This one goes along with the same assignment, but the needs for this document are a little bit different. So I want to show you another way that you can turn a print resource into a digital resource. And I've already created my slide. I've adjusted the page settings to be 8.5 by 11. I already imported my background image, so that was already done. Now when you look at this document, the students are supposed to create a bar graph, and normally this would be printed, and they would collect the data, they would mark the data on the graph, and then they would color it in with a crayon. And I'm assuming that some of my students don't have printers at home, so they're not going to be able to print this and color it with a crayon. So I'm going to draw my text box for my student names. They can type their name in the same way that I did on the previous document. I'm going to align it to the center. I'm going to change the text color to red. I'm going to change my format options. I'm going to change the text fitting by removing the padding on the top, bottom, left, and right. And I'm going to change the fill color to the light gray. Now I have to think outside the box. How am I going to have my students color in a Google slide? So I have a few options, but the option that works the best for me is I use this shape tool, and I draw a rectangle. And I'm going to zoom in closer so I can see exactly where I need it to fit. And I'm going to draw a rectangle right inside this box, right here. Get it to line up. That is pretty close. And there's a few things that I want to change. I'm going to make sure that my border color is black. I'm going to take out the fill color, or if I would prefer, in some cases I might want my fill color to be white. So in this case I'm going to make it white because it looks nice and clean. I have a box that seems to fit pretty well. I'm just going to copy and paste using my Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste. And I'm going to zoom in even more because I want this to line up really close. Now you see my lines don't quite line up, but I'm going to select both of the boxes and I can stretch them both together so they evenly are spaced. Now that lines up pretty well. I'm going to copy that with Control-C, paste it with Control-V, and I'm going to skip ahead a few steps so you can see the finished product. So here's the page at the end. I just followed the same steps that I showed you. I copied and pasted each of the individual squares in, and then when I got to have a whole column, I would select the whole column, Control-C to copy, and then paste it with Control-V, and then I would paste the columns at a time instead of doing each individual square. Now let me show you why this is beneficial and how this is going to work on the student side. So if a student opens this document in an assignment, they would have their own copy, and you would have to teach this to your students so that they understand how they do this. A lot of times what I like to do is make a quick video introduction so that they understand what the assignment is and then how to complete it. So with these squares, they can color these in. And let's say, for instance, my earth jump that I measure was 20 centimeters. I would select this square, go up here to the fill color, and I would fill it in with a color. And then I would do the next one, fill it in with the same color, and that's how I would color it in. So there's my 20 centimeter jump on Earth. And then the moon had less gravity, so watch this. I can select that one. If I hold down the Control key on my keyboard, I can select another one. I'm still holding down the Control key. I'm going to select another one. Now I have 3 of them selected, and I can click the fill with the color that I want to fill it in with. And that's how my bar graph would work. And again, that's something that you would have to teach the students how that works, so that when they do it independently, they know what they're doing. There are a few things that I have to teach my kids, especially at the beginning of the year, when I'm teaching fully online and we're doing our assignments completely digital. I have to teach them how to do certain things in Google Slides. And usually after a few weeks of practice and doing simple assignments, they get the hang of it. Some of the things that they'll need to know how to do is color in shapes, how to draw text boxes, how to draw shapes and lines, how to draw using the scribble. So these are all things that the students have to learn at the beginning, but once they get the hang of it, it becomes really simple and it makes your assignments go a lot smoother. I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you have any questions, feel free. You can email me anytime at the email address listed below.